Hey Nationwiders, this is Mike Bennett, a senior portfolio underwriter for personal lines in SCRO. Today I'm going to be giving you a tutorial about our new operating system, Windows 7. As you have all noticed, we're switching over from the previous operating system, Windows XP, to a newly upgraded computer, HP computers with the new Windows 7 operating system. The reason why we're doing this is because Microsoft decided that they will no longer support the XP operating system and it will be vulnerable to security threats and such. So we need to make sure that our network at Nationwide is secure and we need to upgrade our systems. So with that being said, I figured that I would do this tutorial to maybe help quell any anxiety about switching over to the new operating system, and hopefully this will help make the transition a little bit easier for you. So that being said, let's get started. And full disclosure, I am doing this tutorial on my home computer, so you may notice some differences if you're trying to follow along. However, most of the functionality should remain the same, so you shouldn't notice too much of a difference. So let me open up our tutorial topics. And I should have sent this out to you guys in an email if you're trying to follow along. So go ahead and grab that and then you can look at the different parts that we'll be covering. So first we'll be talking about the desktop. Next, the start menu. After that, the taskbar, window behavior, new useful programs, the ribbon, and a little bit about the Windows 7 quick reference guide. So first things first, let's jump into the desktop since that's the first thing you see when you turn on your computer. So here's the Windows 7 desktop, something that you've all probably seen by now since most of you have your new computers. The first thing you might have noticed that the Start button in the bottom left corner no longer says Start. It's a little bit different. We actually call it the Windows orb now, but it does much the same thing. If you hover over it, it says Start, so you click on it and it brings up the typical menu. It's actually a little bit different. It has some new functionalities that we'll get into in a little bit, but it still gives you access to all the programs in your computer like the previous Start button did. So technically fairly the same, so not too much different there. The next thing we'll talk about, so from the desktop, I know throughout the day all of you have a ton of things open. You're looking at a policy and you want to check Google and you want to have Passport open and you want to have Accurant or whatever tools that you use to verify things. So when you have a lot of windows open, sometimes you need to just get back to the desktop. And before, you used to be able to do that with a button in the bottom left corner that looked kind of like a paper and a pen, and you could click it and then all the windows would go away. Well, that's not there anymore. At least it doesn't look the same anymore. So actually what you do is in the bottom right corner here, there's this rectangle. It says Show Desktop. Excuse me. And that will actually show you the desktop. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to pull up a couple of these documents here. So look, hello, I'm a Word document, test Word document. So if you had a bunch of documents open on your screen and you hovered over this bottom portion here, it would show you your desktop, and actually you can see the outline of one of those windows. Actually makes it translucent so you can see the desktop, but if you come off, it'll go back to the way that you had things. If you go down and click it, then it'll actually hide all the windows for you. If no changes were made, you just wanted to see the desktop and you click it again, all your windows will pop back up in the same orientation that you had them before. So a little bit different functionality there, but it's still that functionality is still available to you, so you can use it. The next thing some of you may be wondering about is screen resolution. Before, you kind of had to go through a few things, go through properties and things like that. This, you right click the desktop and choose screen resolution. There you go, pretty quick. So you'll see that I have two screens right here. You're watching a video on one of them, but the other one is doing some stuff over there. So what you can do here is click on the monitor of your choosing and then change the resolution this way. The recommended resolution is exactly that. That's the native resolution for the monitor. That's the resolution that you'll have the best user experience on. So I recommend that you use that native resolution. But if you need to make any changes to it, there it is. So alright, so the next thing here is personalization. And you can't lie to me and tell me that you don't want to change your desktop background. Everybody needs to look at that cityscape or the view in the mountains or the beach or something like that. It keeps you going, throughout the day. So I can understand you wanting to change your desktop background. Well, I'm going to show you how. So go ahead and right-click the desktop and choose Personalize. So under Personalization, you have the desktop background. So you can click down here in the desktop background and browse for a photo if you want to change things, or you can choose solid colors, anything like that. You can also do it in the same way. If you had a picture on your desktop or in a folder, you can right click the picture and just choose Set as Desktop Background. So that will change your desktop background. The picture position here is actually how that desktop picture shows up. So if you have a picture that fits exactly the size of your desktop, you want to choose center so it doesn't stretch it or distort the picture in any way. If it's too small or just a little bit too small and you want it to fill the screen, you can change it by doing fill, fit, or stretch, any of those combinations. So I recommend center. It doesn't distort your picture, but to each his own. So that's how you change your desktop background. The next thing here, I'll get into a little bit of what we call Windows Arrow. You may have noticed with the new Windows operating system that the windows have a translucent feel to them, so you can see things behind the windows. That's part of the new Windows Arrow feature. Arrow is basically the styling of all of the windows and screens and such. So a lot of the effects that you have, window behavior that we'll be talking about later, that's all a product of Windows Arrow. So keep that in mind here. If you wanted to customize further, you can click Window Color. You can enable this transparency or you can disable it. So if I click that, it's not going to make the windows transparent any longer. So I actually like the look of it being transparent. So, and if you wanted to, you can jazz things up a bit, pick fuchsia or something and change the color intensity. I most likely will not do that, but like I said, to each his own. So another thing, you can change your sounds. Actually not sure of the capability on the Nationwide computers, but I know that's an option. So if you right click something and you're not supposed to, and you get the little doo-doo, so you can change how that sounds. So those are some of the personalization things. Now the last thing I'll talk about under personalization is the themes. So for these themes, you can choose any of the preset Windows themes that you have down here. And basically what it'll do, if you click here, it'll change it to this picture for the background and this window style as the default window style. So it kind of gives you some options if you don't feel like going to look out for those personalization things. So check those themes out, they're pretty cool. If you change your background and change your window color by yourself, it'll post this unsaved theme up here, and you can choose to save that theme if you want to change it and then go back to it later. So kind of cool, gives you some cool customization options for the new Windows 7 operating system. Alright, so the last thing that we'll talk about for the desktop is gadgets. So right click the desktop and choose Gadgets. So for gadgets are small tools that build in some functionality to your desktop. Let's say I didn't like the clock that's down here. I like a larger analog clock to be on my desktop. You could double click this gadget and give it a second and it will show up on your desktop. And you can drag this clock anywhere. Let's say I wanted it right there. And you can have that gadget here. And another thing, you can also add a calendar. So I'll give you some different functionalities here. You can look at the days of the week and things like that, just in case you didn't want to go down to this one. Some of these things are a little redundant. Some of them are actually helpful. You can get news feeds and things like that. I'm not particularly into gadgets, but if you like them, mess around with them. They're pretty cool. So you'll see Get More Gadgets Online. That's actually not a function of this operating system any longer because Microsoft found out that people were using the gadgets to hack into people's computers. So you'll be happy to know that Microsoft does not allow that anymore, so you won't have people trying to hack into your work computer, which is a good thing. You don't want that to happen. So that wraps up our discussion on the desktop. The next thing we'll be talking about is the Start menu. Alright, so as we did before, let's go ahead and click on the Start button, and that'll bring up our Start menu. So the first thing we'll talk about in the Start menu are the icons. The first set of icons on the top here, you'll notice this line kind of separates the two sets of icons. These first icons here, this first group, basically those are the icons that have been pinned to your Start menu, and I'll show you what that means. So when you pin something to your Start menu, it's because it's something that you frequently use, or it's something that you want to have quick access to. So let's go ahead and say I want to have quick access to Dropbox in my Start menu. So what I would do is right click Dropbox, and I'd choose Pin to Start menu. And if I go back to the Start menu, now Dropbox will be in my pinned programs. So those programs, you can pin them there, and they will be there so you can go back to them whenever you need them. And that'll be kind of like a quick guide. So if you wanted to have Passport there, you can right click the Passport icon and choose Pin to Start menu, and then the Passport icon will be there for you to click on whenever you want to open it. There's many things that you can do to make it easy to open programs. You can make a shortcut on your desktop, or pin it to your Start menu. So that's that group of icons. So the second group of icons here, these are the recently used programs. So recently I've used the Windows Media Player program. As you can see, I've opened numerous videos through Windows Media Player. I've also used GoPro Studio to edit some of those videos, things like that. So you'll see all of the programs that you use routinely, they'll show up there. And you'll notice that based on the usage of some of these programs, you will see them change around a little bit because it's based on the frequency that you use them. So if you see changes there, don't be alarmed. That's just because it's trying to organize them in a way that will let you use the programs that you use most frequently at the top. Okay, so the next thing here on our list is search box, and I can't say enough about this new search function. I think the search function in XP was much more archaic. You had to really nail down what you were looking for. You basically had to say if you were looking for a document or if you were looking for a folder or file. So in this search, it's much more broad. So you can type anything you want in the search box and it'll look for it. So let's say I type in Excel. It immediately starts to search for anything in your computer that has to do with Excel. And the neat thing about this search function is that it breaks it out into different groupings based on the file type or the program type. So you'll see you have a grouping called Programs and Documents, Music, Pictures. These groupings take all the files associated with that file type and put them, it puts those into those groupings, so you can nail down even farther what you're looking for. If I was looking for a picture that had to do with Excel, I would go down to this section here. But if I was looking for the Excel program, I would go under Programs and click that, and then that would open up my Excel program. So that is how you use the search function. You can use that for any type of document, any program, anything on your computer you're looking for. Just type it into your search box and you'll be able to find it very easily. Okay. So the next thing here is customization. The Start menu, obviously you see that it looks much different than it used to, and you can even make it look more personal. You can customize it to change the way that these things look. So let me show you what I mean. If you go here to the Start menu and you right click and choose Properties, you'll see that the Start menu tab is highlighted and you can choose Customize. Most of these things here you don't need to mess with, but let's say you wanted to change your Start menu so that the control panel is not there. You don't want to use the control panel from the Start menu. So you could click Don't Display this item and OK, Apply and OK. And when you go back to the Start menu, control panel will no longer be there. So if you want to get it back, go to Properties and Customize. control panel, display as link or as menu. So before I had it displayed as a link. Let's see what it does when I display it as a menu. Let me go back in here. The control panel is here, but if I hover over it, it gives me all of the options that the control panel has to offer. So that's a little bit different than displaying it as a link where all you can do is click on it and then it brings you to the control panel. So pretty neat function there, and something you can mess around with. You can change a lot of things in the customization, and the one thing I do recommend is if you're not sure what you're changing, you probably shouldn't change it, and ask somebody who is sure about what that is. So yes, the customization feature is very cool. Another piece of the customization feature is the shutdown button behavior. You'll notice that the shutdown button is right here, and if I click this button right now, it would shut my computer down. However, if I click this right arrow or hover over it, it'll show me switch user, log off, lock, restart, and sleep. These are the other options that are considered shutdown behavior. So if I right click again, choose properties, you can see that the power button action, what I've been calling shutdown behavior, is customizable. So if I didn't want the default option to be shut down, I could click the drop down and click restart. You would do this if you wanted to restart your computer more often than just shutting it down. So then you'll see restart is now the default option for the power button. I prefer to have shut down here, so I'm going to change it back. And previously what I mentioned to you before about the start menu, the recently opened programs and recently opened items here, you can check those to have the start menu either display those or not. So something else that you can change on the start menu. Alright, so the next thing here on the start menu, something that most of you will be familiar with, but it's actually a little bit new. In Windows XP, you had an icon on your desktop most likely called My Computer. Well, it's now just Computer, because I think the operating system is telling you, you probably know it's your computer. Well, it's technically Nationwide's computer, but you get the point. So go ahead and click on My Computer, and the first thing you see here are the hard disk drives. So I have numerous hard drives in my computer. I have a lot of videos and music and things like that, so I needed a lot of space. You'll most likely have one or two drives up here in this region, and then another section called network drives, and you'll have all of your shared drives under the network drive. You can see M. Bennett brick is here because literally this hard drive is huge. It's the size of a brick, so that's just a little humor I have to share with myself there. So if you wanted to get to your shared drive, you click on Computer from the Start menu, and then you go to the network drives, and you would have a drive called FLGNV-APP0002/under W, and that would be here, and it would look kind of like this. So that's how you would get to your shared drive should you need to. So the next thing here is favorites. Now favorites, that's a new addition to the Windows 7 operating system, and favorites is basically a way that you can access frequently used locations on any of your hard drives all at once. So I could have a location from the shared drive and from my local drive and all these drives. I can put them in my favorites so I can access them from anywhere. So I can add in a folder, let's say from my D drive here I wanted to add computing in the business environment to my favorites. And I can add a folder, and then I can access that from my favorites. It's something that just to give you a little bit quicker access to certain locations and folders on your computer. So I'm actually going to remove that. Alright, the next thing here we have are libraries. Libraries can be a little bit confusing sometimes because people think that their files are being duplicated on their computer when in fact the libraries are actually just conglomerating all of the locations on your computer that house certain file types. So let's say we go to the music library. I have numerous music locations on my computer, so you can see that in this library there are 3 locations. So one is on my C drive, another is on my C drive but it's a public music folder, and then another is on my G drive. So multiple different locations for music files. It basically just pulls all these locations together, so if you wanted to access any music file on your computer, then you could just click on Music Library and all of your music would be there. No matter where, no matter how spread out it is on your computer, it'll all be in one place. That's the idea. Same thing for pictures, videos, and documents. You can choose to set locations based on the file types. So if I click locations, you can add locations and remove locations based on their pertinence to that library. So something that you can use. The next thing here is mapping network drives. Something that most of you need when you're trying to access a shared drive is to map to that drive. So click computer again, and you'll see map network drive is here. You used to have to click tools in the toolbar and then go to map network drive, but now it's just kind of a quick link from the My Computer screen. So you click map network drive, and let's say you wanted to map to the personal lines underwriting drive. You would just type in, using the syntax from the example here, / flgnv app 0002 /under w. Now that is the file path to the underwriting shared drive, and I want to make sure that reconnect at logon is checked, because when I log back onto my computer, I want to be able to access that drive just the same. So if you don't click reconnect at logon, you won't have access to it, and you will have to redo this process over and over again, which is not efficient. And I'm not going to click finish here because obviously I have no access to the shared drive when I'm not on Nationwide's network. Okay, so the last thing here for the start menu, we're going to close this here, go back to the start menu. The last thing here is the control panel. So we talked about the control panel a little bit based on the customization piece, but now if I right click this control panel menu and choose open, it'll actually open the new control panel. Previously, the control panel was a list of options, and now they group it into different categories. So if you were trying to do networking activities, you would just go to network and internet. If you were trying to manage hardware and sound, like printers and audio devices, things like that, you'd go to hardware and sound, so on and so forth. A new thing is user accounts and family safety. That's how you change some of your user accounts, and you'll notice the shield that's blue and yellow right here. That actually tells you need administrative approval for these types of options, and you don't actually have that on the Windows 7 computers for Nationwide, so you probably won't be able to use that. But this control panel should look much newer to you. If you go up here and click View By, you can do large icons or small icons, and it'll make it look a little bit more like it used to in the previous operating system, so you can be a little bit more familiar with what you're looking for. Either way, you can go back to category and view it by categories, but this is where your control panel is. And there's actually several ways that you can get to your control panel. You can actually go to computer and get to control panel that way too. Open control panel is right here. So same exact screen. Windows 7 tries to make it very easy for you to get to things more quickly, to organize things in one location, so you can access many different folders and files all in one place. And sometimes it may end up being complicated, but it's all in interest to get you the things that you need much more quickly. So hopefully this tutorial on the start menu is helpful. Now the next thing we're going to talk about here is the taskbar. So let's move on to the taskbar. So the first thing we'll talk about with the taskbar is the layout. Now when you compare the taskbar and the way that it looks to the previous taskbar, the first thing you notice is that the quick launch icons that used to be in the bottom left are no longer there. There's actually these larger icons here, so you can see this is my Google Chrome icon, this is the Windows Explorer icon, and we have some other icons here as well. Basically what Windows 7 does is uses these large icons as quick launch icons, and also uses them to refer to programs that are open on your computer currently. So let's say I went to open a Google Chrome window. By clicking that, if I click that icon, my computer will go ahead and open a Google Chrome window, and actually opened it on my other screen, so pull it over here. So if I click on that, it'll open the Google Chrome window. Now, once you've opened a window using that quick launch button, it doesn't actually let you open another one. If you click it, it just toggles between being open and minimized. So what you need to do here is, if you wanted to open another Google Chrome or Internet Explorer window, you would just right click on that icon and choose Google Chrome or New Window. The same thing would happen with Internet Explorer. You would choose Open Internet Explorer window or something like that. It should be right here, and that'll actually open another window for you that you can use. So that way you can use it as a quick launch, and it'll keep your taskbar a little bit more organized because there's not so many things going on. So we'll close these windows right here. So the next thing here is combining labels. So with the taskbar, these are considered labels, these little pictures right here. Now, if you are really confused as to how this is working, which after the next section called window behavior, hopefully you won't be, but I'm going to show you how to make your taskbar look a little bit more like it did in Windows XP. So by right-clicking the taskbar right here and choosing Properties, you can choose to use small icons. I'll click that and choose Apply. And notice how these items shrunk down to size. So technically these icons here look way more like the quick launch icons in previous operating systems. Now the next thing you can do here is, under taskbar buttons, click the drop down and then click Never Combine. Choose Apply. So now you can see that your programs are listed out here much like they used to be in Windows XP. The only difference here is that if I click on Google Chrome, it will again open a Google Chrome window. I'll let that load up for a second. Here it goes. So once it opens up that Google Chrome window, you can go back down here and see that the label is showing Google Chrome, but if I try to click again, it's still going to toggle the window back and forth, open and minimized. So what you'll still need to do if you have it laid out this way is right click and choose Google Chrome to open a brand new instance. My recommendation for when you're doing this with internet browsers is to simply use another tab. So in Google Chrome and in Internet Explorer, in the same location, you can open a new tab by just clicking the tab here, and then you can type in a new website or anything that you would like to use. So go ahead and close this up. Now I'm going to revert back to my previous settings. So I will uncheck Use Small Icons and go back to Always Combine and Hide Labels. That way it's not going to show me the text here, the label, and it will always combine them based on the type of file that it is. So if I have multiple Word documents open, which I do, it will group all those Word documents into one icon down here, and you can see that I can still toggle through them. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the window behavior section. So when you don't combine labels, it takes up more space in your taskbar, but gives you a little bit more of the Windows XP feel. When you do combine the labels, it groups things and makes your taskbar a little bit more compact, but you just have to get used to the new layout. So that's the only change. So a little bit more on the taskbar. The Action Center icons over here, that basically tells you what's going on with your computer, if you have any updates to complete or if there's any issues detected. Other icons that you see down here basically show you internet activity, your volume, and active programs that are running in the background on your computer. So if you click this up arrow and it'll say show hidden icons, it'll show you all the programs that are running in the background on your computer. So things such as antivirus, printers, your sound card. These are just things that are on my computer. Obviously, you'll have different things on your Nationwide computer, but you get the idea that these are the programs that are running in the background. So this is where you'll see notifications based on any of these programs that are running. If you see a little pop-up in this corner of the screen, generally it's because a program's trying to tell you something. So if you want to customize the way that these programs notify you, you can click Customize right here. And this is the Action Center, and it will allow you to pick the different ways that your computer notifies you based on the programs that you have installed in your computer. So if I wanted to change my settings for my video card, I can change those when my video card notifies me of certain things. So something you probably won't have to change very often, but just so you know it is there. And finally, the last thing over here is the clock. So you can see it's 9:40 p.m. dedicated to change advocacy at Nationwide. 9:40 at night doing this tutorial for you guys. So, and if you click here, you can get your analog clock, like we saw on the gadgets, and you can also get your calendar. So you most likely have already seen that. So that wraps it up on the taskbar. So the next thing that we're going to move into is window behavior. So window behavior, in my opinion, is where Windows 7 really shines. This is where it sets itself apart from Windows XP. The first thing we have to talk about here is rearranging programs, which is not that spectacular. But if you go down here to your taskbar, you can rearrange these icons based on the way that you'd like to see them. So if you wanted Word to be at the forefront, you can just click that grouping and you can move them around. So you can move them wherever you'd like to move them. Same thing with the icons that are not even in use. You can hover over them, click, and just move them around wherever you need to. So that is kind of a cool thing, just being able to organize it the way that you like to see it, the way that you like to work. So the next thing is program previews. So this is kind of neat. You've seen me do this throughout the tutorial, but now I'm actually going to explain what's going on. So let's say if I hover over the Word documents, it's going to show me all of the Word documents that I have open in that group. So if I have 10 Word documents open in that group, it'll list out all of the separate Word documents here, and in the top it'll just show you the text associated. And you noticed once I hovered over that that document on the left, it shows you that document and its last position on the screen. And if I hover over the next one, it shows me the last position of that document on the screen. So basically, you can hover over, find where your documents are located on the screen. You can view them, and you don't even have to click anything. You just use your mouse to hover over the different categories. And if you wanted to go over to the Notepad documents, the text documents right here, you do the same thing. There's two documents open. I hover over that document, and there it is. And go to the next one, same thing. So the program preview is a pretty neat thing. One step further, if you go ahead and click on that, then it'll obviously open that document to the last location that you had it open to. So that's a way that you can find the document that you're looking for. So even if there's something open on the desktop, if I hover over the Word document now and hover over here, it will show me that, and I can click it and it'll have it open. And I can do the same thing here and it'll open it. So you see how that kind of works. Now, one very cool thing about the window behavior is dragging to resize things. Now, dragging to resize things gets a little complicated when you have multiple monitors. Just keep in mind, if you have an edge that you can drag something to, then you can resize the window. So instead of, like in Windows XP, of just minimizing or restoring down or closing the window, if you have the document in full screen mode and it's taking up the whole screen, if you click in this taskbar up here, you can click and drag and it will shrink it down, and you can move it wherever you want on the screen. So that's kind of nice. And if you take that same method, click up here and drag to the edge of the screen, you'll see how it gets translucent, let go, and it fills only half of the screen. So you can do that with any of your documents. You can fill half the screen. So if you only had one monitor, you could theoretically take one of these and move it here. But as you can see, it's just disappearing because I have another monitor there. So it's actually being displayed on the other monitor when I'm pushing over to the other side. So what I would say for you to do is you can use any of these documents and move them here. And if you want to have multiple, you can move them to both the same side and then just drag the other one over. Oops, sometimes it gets a little complicated, but you can drag the other one over and size it that way. And I'll show you some other window organizing tips as well. So another way to do the window drag to resize is you can click the top bar and drag to the top, and that'll fill the whole screen automatically without you having to click the maximize button. Just a little added feature, a little bit more versatility with the way that you can use the windows and documents on the computer. So okay, now another thing that you can do in terms of window behavior is when you have a ton of things open on your desktop, like many of you do, you can right click down here in the taskbar and choose Cascade Windows, and you'll see that it stacks up the windows in a cascading fashion. So it should organize them also by file type, and you'll notice that it's organized by the way that this is done on the taskbar. So that's pretty neat. Now let's say you cascaded all the windows and you wanted to go back to the way you had it before. You just right click again and do undo cascade. So it'll bring you back to your original configuration. So let me show you the other two ways that you can organize the windows on your screen. Right click the taskbar and choose Show Windows Stacked. So as you can see, this will take all of the windows that are open on that specific screen and lay them out evenly on the screen. So if you have 4, it's obviously going to take all 4, put them in the corners, and you can use these windows exactly the same way as you would a normal window. It's just you can see them all at the same time and compare and contrast between them. So it's kind of nice. It is a little tricky when you have multiple windows open, a ton of windows open that is, because it will make them smaller and smaller. So the more windows you have open on one screen, the less useful it will be because they will be very small. So keep that in mind. So let's undo that. And the last way that you can organize the windows is right click and choose Show Windows Side by Side. So see how when I did side by side with an even number of windows, it actually uses it in the same way as the stacked version is. So I'm going to show you if you have an odd number of windows. I'm going to get rid of one of these. Click Show Windows Side by Side. It'll actually put them side by side like it said, but it'll be vertically if you have an odd number. So that's kind of nice if you have a document with more text in it than just a few sentences or something. So again, you can compare and contrast between the documents and still use them the same. Just keep in mind that if you have a ton of windows open, they're going to be very small and you probably won't be able to see anything. But definitely a useful functionality, the way that you can manipulate the windows on your screen. It's a new thing to Windows 7 and it's really neat. So the next thing we have here is folder views. So I have a test folder set up right here, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can change the view in a folder. So to change the folder view, you would simply go up to here and click on this Change Your View photo next to the drop down arrow. So this will toggle you through all the available folder views for the specific folder that you're in. Now you can see that the icons change from large icons to list to details, etc., etc. Now if you click the More Options drop down, there's a scroll bar here and you can actually move it to the icon or list of your choice. So, and as you can see, as you go between small, medium, large, and extra large, you can customize the size. So you can get that exact look that you're looking for. Now I prefer to go down to details. That's just how I like to see it because it gives you the date modified and the size of the file. So that's my preference. Now another way that you can do the same thing much the same way that you did in Windows XP, is right click in the folder and choose View, and it'll give you all of those same options, and you can just select the one that works for you. So View Details. So that's how you change the folder icons view. Now there's another view that you should be aware of up here in this taskbar is Show the Preview pane. So click here and it says select file to preview. So if I selected this file, it would show me all the text that's in that file. So inside that file I have text that says another test document. What a surprise. So, and if I were to click on a picture or a spreadsheet, it would do the same thing. These files actually don't have anything in them, they're just for testing purposes, but should you have a folder with numerous files in there and you didn't want to open them all, you just wanted to see what was in them, you can open your preview pane and click through them, and the preview pane will show you exactly what's in there. So kind of a neat feature. So the next thing here is sorting and grouping. If you right click in the folder, there's a sort by and a group by option. Now for the sorting, you can sort by name, date modified, type, and size, and in ascending or descending order. So it's pretty versatile. Let's say you go by name, then all of these files, regardless of file type, are in alphabetical order, and you can do descending as well, so it's in descending alphabetical order. Now, so I'll sort it back by type. Now, if you wanted to group the files in this folder, so you can group them by name, date modified, type, and size as well. So typically I would say you would want to group by type so you can find the type of file that you're looking for more quickly. So if I click type, you'll see that all the pictures are matched together, so on and so forth with spreadsheets and Word documents and text files. So pretty neat function, new to Windows 7. So if you wanted to take the grouping away, just go back to group by and choose none. So that's all about grouping. Now the last thing we'll talk about for window behavior is file path shortcuts, because it pertains to the folder organization, I guess you could say. So previously, if you wanted to get the file path for something, you would have to right click the file, choose properties, and then the file path would be here. Here or here actually. So that's the file path for this file. Now if you wanted to, previously the file path used to be up here, but now you can see they tried to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing and show it to you in a different way. But if you click in the bar, it'll show you the exact file path for that folder that you're in. So pretty neat. Click off there. Now if you wanted to go through your computer without opening a new window or navigating in the side pane, you can click this arrow and go to certain shortcuts. So I could say, well, let's go to my computer, and then from here I could go to D drive, and then I can go to my computing and business environment files and here. So it's pretty easy to navigate through using this tool, this navigation bar up here. And let's say I wanted to go back to my computer or back to the D drive, all I have to do is click the specific spot that I'm looking for. So back to the D drive would be here, computer would be here, and let's say I made a mistake and I want to go back to the folder I was in, you can click the back button and it would bring you back. So just much like a web browser would do, bring you back to where you were, that arrow will do the same. So pretty neat tool, and that kind of shows you how to organize files and folders and how you can kind of get to things relatively quickly. So that wraps it up for window behavior. The next thing we're going to move on to is new useful programs. So I'm going to close some things up here. Alright, so the first new useful program that I'm going to show you is the snipping tool. So to get to the snipping tool, you'll click on the Start button, then All Programs, Accessories, and then it should be right in here. And once you click it, you'll notice the message box pop up and the screen will be grayed out ever so slightly. If you click and drag on your screen, you can take the picture of the screen where you selected, and you can then edit it. So you can do edit and choose copy, and then have that picture in your clipboard, so you can paste that anywhere you like, so in an email or same time message or into Paint or a Word document, anything like that. You can save it as a picture, and then do some other things here too. You can use the pen to draw on it, so if you're trying to indicate something, and then erase. So that's something you can do. If you want to take a new snip, you would click that, and the screen would gray out again, and then you could select a new portion of the screen to capture. So snipping tool is pretty cool. It actually is very similar to Snagit and the snipping tool from SameTime and Lotus Notes, but a little bit more lightweight and a little bit easier to use. So use that to your advantage whenever you get the chance. So I'm not going to save that. So the next useful program is Sticky Notes. So navigate to it the same way. Start, All Programs, Accessories, then Sticky Notes. And Sticky Notes basically is exactly what it says. It's a sticky note, and it'll be on your desktop, and you can write notes. And once you've written a note, it will stay on your desktop until you click this X. And you can resize the note however you like. And you can also change the color of the note by right-clicking here, and you can change the color. So even if you reset your computer, restart, shut down, when you come back, the sticky note should still be on your desktop just to remind you of whatever it is you needed to remind yourself of, and it should still remain there for you. So pretty useful tool here. And if you'd like to add another sticky note, you can just click the plus and you'll have another one. And you can change the color again, so indicate different colors for different things, all sorts of stuff. So sticky notes are pretty cool, and another useful thing, so you can prevent clutter on your desk. So that's always nice. So the last useful program here, we go the same way. Start, All Programs and Accessories, and Paint. And some of you are probably saying to yourself, well, Paint is not new. Well, Paint is new and improved in my opinion, so I wanted to bring that up. You can see there's additional functionalities that you may have not have seen in previous versions of Windows, so Windows XP. You can crop and resize, use shapes and colors, and the main difference is the fact that it's employing a ribbon style versus a toolbar. So over here you have this this folder menu, and that gives you much the same thing as what File would have done if you would have clicked File, and all of these options here mimic what it would have been under Edit and View and Tools. So previously you had all these options hidden away in the toolbar. Now they're all available for you to see in this ribbon. So, and that's a good segue into the next section. So the ribbon is just a new layout for all of the tools that are available for certain programs. So the ribbon can be seen in this program, and that's just, the Windows Paint, and it has all those functionalities laid out for you. So moving on to the ribbon, maybe a more topical example would be for Word. So in Microsoft Office, you can see the ribbon more profoundly because it's something you probably use all the time. Keep in mind that my Microsoft Office is Office 2010. Yours is going to be Office 2007. So with that said, it may have some slight differences, but overall the idea is still the same. The ribbon up here is still showing you all of the functionalities that you can use, and this should be the same as it was with your Windows XP computer, because Office 2007 mimics the operating system Windows Vista, which we skipped, and so we went straight from XP to Windows 7. So that's why the intermediate Microsoft Office has the ribbon. So you probably had the ribbon before, just kind of pointing it out to you, showing that it's becoming more prevalent because that's the way that Microsoft is going. So mine has a file button up here rather than the start orb or the Microsoft Office orb, but you will see that orb looks very similar to the start button. It'd be up here and it'll give you much of these same options, so saving, printing, and all the things like that. And your ribbon will look very similar as well. It'll have all of the functionalities that you can see here and all the things that you can do for a Word document. So very cool. Now another thing that's very cool about the ribbon is the quick access toolbar, and that's this piece right up here. So let's say I added some text. Hi, I'm text. Now you can see that this quick access toolbar up here, the repeat typing and undo typing buttons are now available. So I can do undo typing and it'll take it away. And quick access, you may not have this print preview button up here. I use that frequently, so I wanted to have that up there, and I can show you how I did that by clicking the drop down here. You can select any of these preset things and add them to the quick access toolbar. So if I wanted open to be there, I can do that, and you can see that it was added on. If I click down here again, choose more commands, there's a ton of commands that you can add to this. And let's say I wanted to add in page setup, because I like to go to page setup frequently. I could click that, choose add, and OK, and it would add page setup to that. So I can click that and it would bring me directly to page setup. I wouldn't have to navigate through the ribbon or through the file menu or anything like that. So just gives you some additional functionality, some quick access to certain things that you may use frequently. So that wraps it up on the ribbon. The last thing I'd like to talk to you guys about is the Windows 7 Quick Reference Guide, and it's something that will basically summarize a lot of the things that I've talked to you about today. So if you click the Start button, choose All Programs, and in the top programs up here you'll see a PDF called Windows 7 Quick Reference Guide. Click on that. Let that open. Okay. Now over here you can see that there's many different things that this guide covers, and a lot of the things that you'll see are things that we've covered in this tutorial. So even in this picture it kind of gives you a brief overview of the desktop, the start menu, and the taskbar. You can see the gadgets are there and some of the folder views and things. So pretty good reference guide in terms of showing you around the operating system. So if you forget anything that we talked about in this tutorial, this is a great thing to go back to and look through. One thing that I do recommend you look at is the shortcut and what's new portion. So you can click on that link and it'll bring you to this page. Here on the left side are the shortcuts. So undo last is Control plus Z, and that's a shortcut that you can use for many different programs that you use every day. So you press Control Z and it'll undo the previous action that you did. Another helpful one is the lock your computer or switch users, which is the Windows key and L. So if you're getting up to go to a meeting or getting up to go get a drink of water, you can press Windows key and L and it'll lock your computer automatically, so you don't have to worry about anybody messing with your computer while you're up and away from your desk. I don't think there's too many mischievous people around, but better be safe than sorry, so might as well use that shortcut. Another thing that you can use from this reference guide is on the right side here, what's new in Windows 7. It covers a lot of the stuff that we talked about in the tutorial today. So libraries, improvements to the search function in the start menu, taskbar enhancements, the Windows Aero desktop, desktop gadgets, and themes. So hopefully you remembered that we talked about all those things. I know it's a little bit of a long tutorial, but if you ever needed to go back to any of these things, this is a great tool that you can use, and something that will probably be useful for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the tutorial today. I know that there's a ton of things to learn with Windows 7, and I just scratched the surface and tried to show you some of the most important things and the new things for the operating system. So if you need some more details on any of the things that I covered today, or if you have any questions based on the tutorial, please feel free to contact me. Send me a same time message or an email. My short name is BenM25. So benm25 at nationwide.com. So if you need to contact me, please let me know. I'll leave you with a couple of thoughts. First one being, keep calm and forget Windows XP. It is in the past. Microsoft is moving on from that, and it was a great operating system in its day, and we're moving forward to Windows 7. So keep calm and migrate to Windows 7. It's going to be a great operating system. I know that once you guys get comfortable using it, it's going to be a lot faster, a lot more stable, and you'll really enjoy it. So again, please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial and learn something. Have a great one. Thank you.